let's talk about love, right? So if we ultimately look at what love is self-truth. Probably one of the most important components to love is starting here. I get this a lot. When people, and we've seen a lot of this over the past 2 years, is people don't start from the premise of honesty, self-honesty. Self-honesty or self-truth is the number one form. It's where love starts, because if you lie to yourself, you're already not loving yourself. To think about love as the way you would want others to treat you, right? If you want others to be honest with you, if you want others to respect you and to give you the freedom to make your own choices, the truth has to come first. And so many people in today's world will try to sell you a fake bill of goods. They don't talk about truth so much as they talk about what they want you to believe is the truth, right? So it's a coercion, if you will. And we see this a lot. Really over the past couple of years, what the truth has actually been. But love is truth. And so we start, right, by looking at ourselves in the mirror, right? Because if we don't look at ourselves in the mirror, like the mirror reveals a lot of truths, but starting with self-honesty. So how many of you today that are tuning in today cheat on your diet? How many of you know that you should exercise more but don't? How many of you know that you embark into relationships that don't bring you joy but actually bring you tremendous grief? How many of you don't get enough sleep? How many of you don't exercise at all? How many of you overconsume sugar or drink alcohol on a regular basis, to numb the truth of what you're experiencing in your life? Again, no judgment coming from me, but again, what I'm trying to do is to encourage you to be honest with yourself, because no progress can occur, zero progress can occur if what you're telling yourself is a falsehood, right? So how do you begin change? How do you begin making change? Is that you're honest with yourself about what's happening in your life. So the truth is love. And the most important thing you can do is be honest with yourself, because self-honesty is self-love, right? It's crucial. You can't love yourself and lie to yourself at the same time, at least not fully. And so your outcomes will be diminished and you'll struggle, right? So this brings me to another point here, which is self-love. We live in this society, it's really, I don't know, the best way I can describe society today, up is down and down is up, right? We're told lies directly to our face, even though every fiber in our being tells us differently. We tend to want to believe the lie. And one of the lies is that to love yourself is selfish, right? So this whole premise of being selfish, in my opinion, is overrated, because self-love starts with having boundaries. I'm not talking about being selfish, like ignoring others who need you at the cost of serving something in vanity. I'm talking about being selfish is in taking care of yourself first, because this is especially true of women, but I shouldn't really say it's especially true of women. It's true of women because the power women have over men. And celebrating this day of love, I think it's important to honor that women are the heart of the home, right? And any intelligent man who's married and has been married for any length of time could probably reiterate a number of phrases that say this without saying it. For example, happy wife, happy life, right? But to not be too cliche, a woman is the heart of the home. And so if a woman is self-sacrificing her time, her efforts, her energy, right, and she's taking damage herself to meet the needs of everyone else who are not meeting her halfway to meet their own needs, that's what we call a bad relationship. Now, it's not so much that a mom can't take care of her children. So kids are different. We put kids in a different category. Children are different in that regard, because mothers will have just an overpowering instinctual love for their children, right? And they will do anything. They will sacrifice anything to make sure that their kids aren't wanting for something or their kids are safe. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about ignoring your children at your own vanity, at your own purposes, at your own designs. You have to take care of your children. They're your responsibility. What I'm talking about is lying to yourself about what your obligations actually are. And I'm going to give some just very specific examples to help you understand. So one example I get very frequently in the clinic is there's a mom, she's chronically sick. She's got 3 or 4 different autoimmune diagnoses. She's staying at home to take care of her family. And her husband, she's fortunate because her husband does well enough that she can do that. But she's got 3 children, and all of her children are involved in school, but they're also involved in extracurricular activities outside of school. And this mother, she spends her entire day taking care of everyone else. And at the end of the day, she's not taking care of herself, right? So I get this again, no exercise, no sunshine, not sleeping at the proper times, eating poorly, and then medicating for happiness or for mood, for depression or whatever it might be, mood abnormalities. And so understanding that if this is you and you're watching this, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this, not even for your kids. And here's what I mean by that. Your children depend on you, and they watch you. They look at you. You are the shining beacon of light and hope and the example for them. And so if you're spending your days depriving yourself of fundamental basic needs, again, these are fundamental basic needs: exercise, sunshine, sleep, and diet. We can't get around that. And medicines, which are a lie, right? Medicines are a form for most people. I'm not going to say all medicines are bad or evil, but medicines for most people are a form of this right here. They're a form of self-lying. Because what you're really saying is, I'm going to take this drug to depress the symptoms, to depress my body's early warning detection system that's trying to tell me to make a change, but I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to lie to myself. I'm going to mask it so that I can overcome the fact that I'm not doing these things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sacrifice myself in my mind, right, for the sake of my kids or my, fill in the blank, my kids, my husband, my relationship, or whatever that might be. And so this is a lie, right? And you have to acknowledge that. That's why, again, going back to truth being the most important thing you can tell yourself as you set up. And remember that whether you're a mom or whether you're a father, you lead by example. If you've got kids, they're watching you. And if you don't have kids, let's say you don't have kids, or your kids are all grown up, your spouse is watching you, right? You are a leader to your spouse. A wife is a leader for her husband. A husband is a leader for his wife. And if you're setting poor examples, right, you're saying it's okay to not do these things with your actions, and again, all on the I would call the altar, right, of not being called selfish. So we go back to this term selfishness, as if selfishness is somehow taking care of yourself, right? When did we go from taking care of ourselves to being, selfish? When did that translation occur in our society? It has occurred, right? At this point, I mean, you can see it, especially in our culture. You see, there's more discussion toward. I'm trying not to get political here, but there's more discussion toward communistic thought processes, right? What's good for the whole, right, should trump what's good for the one. And I would argue that what's good for the whole, it's not for the one, it's not for the individual, right, to look out for the whole. That, to a certain extent, it's to the individual to look out for themselves and lead by example. And as a general rule, if you do that, the whole around you, the community around you, will see you lead by example. They will see and hopefully try to emulate or achieve the same level of success that you are achieving within your health. But if you lie to yourself and you sacrifice yourself on the altar, right, of perceived selfishness, then what ends up happening is your health is destroyed and you have nothing left. Remember, your health is your wealth. Your health is your health, your physical health. Your body is your temple, and that physical status of your temple is your ability to navigate this world. And if you destroy it, you can't buy it back. You can't get it back. You can't jump in a time machine, go backwards, and do things differently once you've done them. Now, you can always make changes moving forward, but you can't go back in time. And so you have to get very, very clear on being honest to yourself about whether or not you're doing the things, again, that society would say are selfish, but I would argue that society is mad, right? We truly live in Alice in Wonderlandian-like times, and up is down and down is up, and everybody would have you believe the lie. And you have to, in order to keep your health, you literally have to step outside of the way society is moving. And you have to have the strength and the courage to say, I'm not going to follow that crowd. That crowd is dangerous. That crowd is the mob, right? And the mob is fickle, and you don't want to be a part of that. So again, self-love is not selfishness. Self-love is a necessity. And if you, again, ladies, heart of the home, if you aren't doing this, I can promise you your kids are suffering needlessly. Your husband is suffering needlessly. And likewise, men, if you are not doing this, your wives and your children are also suffering needlessly. You have to lead by example, and that example is not selfishness. Taking care of yourself is not selfishness. It is establishing patterns and behaviors that will transcend you to multiple generations to come. So don't fall prey to that mentality. Hey, don't forget to check out the rest of the series right here. Make sure you hit subscribe below. And as always, thanks for tuning in.